Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Helena. So this video is going to be all about how to become a healthcare assistant, also known as a HCA. So I thought this video might be very useful. And whilst I'm working, I'm seeing a lot of nursing students and medical students and other people who are interested in the clinical field. So I thought this video would be very useful for people who are interested in becoming a HCA. And if you think this video might be useful for you, stay tuned and I'll be telling you about how to become a HCA, how to apply, and what exactly the role entails. So let's get straight into the video. So firstly, I'll talk about what exactly is a HCA and what does the role entail. So a HCA is part of the nursing team and they are under the supervision of a qualified nurse. The role involves providing a high quality patient care. You'll also be working with a multidisciplinary team. So the role involves many different things. So a HCA role can vary depending on what department you are and what type of HCA you are. You find out that you get a HCA where they work in one particular ward each time, and you can get a bank HCA where they can actually pick shifts online and where they can be more flexible, be assigned to different wards each time. Bear in mind, this does depend on where you're working. If it's in a hospital, if it's in a community, it can vary in different hospitals. However, generally the roles are the same. Okay, so let's move on to what exactly are you going to be doing as a HCA? What does the role actually entail? What do you do as a HCA? So part of the role of a HCA, or the large part of the role of a HCA, is obviously direct patient care. And also you're required to do several observations. In terms of observation, you're expected to check, for example, patient's weight, their height, or filling in different charts, depending on what diagnosis or what condition the patient has. Also, you're required to do blood pressure, respiratory rate, pulse rate, checking heart rate, and if you're competent enough to get the adequate training, you might be expected to take blood glucose levels. Sometimes you do have to take oxygen saturation too. Urine testing as well. And I feel like this is very useful if you're doing a degree that's very related to the clinical aspect. This will give you clinical exposure where you can actually have these direct contacts with patients. So a large part of the role, it would involve taking a lot of patient records and writing things and inserting information on paper documents and also in the computer. In this role, you do get training to make sure that you're competent enough to undertake these roles. Other things you end up doing is manual handling and knowing how to move patients using the different equipment that they have, which could be using the hoist, using sliders and other equipment provided. And this can be used to help patients with movement and making sure it's safe as possible. You might find out that some patient might be using a frame or using a walking stick or some form of equipment to help in terms of moving. So you might have to assist patients moving from one place to another. Another huge part of the role is personal hygiene, and this involves helping with washing, bathing, and also in terms of feeding and drinking for the patient. So you might have to help patient who needs more assistance with toileting and personal hygiene. A lot of the role does involve housekeeping too, making sure that the quality of care is at a high standard in terms of hygiene and providing a clean environment for the patient. So a large part of the role involves bedding, helping patients in terms of changing their beds and actually maneuvering as well from one place to another. You find out that once you've changed the beds or you do have disposal equipment, they would actually show you the different bags you need to put certain things. Overall, the role has a huge exposure for clinical experience and you have direct contact with patients and able to help patients in many kind of ways. So if you feel like you do want to have clinical experience, this is definitely a suitable role where you can have high quality clinical experience and be able to actually see how it's like to work within the hospital and work alongside the nursing team, alongside doctors and other healthcare assistants and other MDT. So next I will move on to how to apply. So obviously how to apply depends on what kind of healthcare assistant you want to be, whether you want to work in a community or within a hospital. But a useful website that you can use is obviously the NHS website, where you can search in healthcare assistant and it would give you different healthcare assistant role throughout the UK, and you can find out exactly what type of department you would like to work in. Another useful place where I do find great healthcare assistant role is using Indeed, where you can search up keywords and you can allocate what region you'd like to work in as well. Before you actually start working within the ward, if it's a community, you'll be given adequate training where you'll be given different guidelines on what type of roles you'll be doing, and also be given the appropriate training, whether it's online or during an induction day. So I had an induction day where I had to go through different topics, and this is from how to communicate with patients, learning about equality and diversity, and also they invited different MDT so they can actually talk to us about what the role entails. We did have a talk from a dietitian, HCAs, advanced HCAs, nursing students, and also a qualified nurse. Due to COVID right now, there is a lot of training that's limited in person, but they've put a lot online, and there's various different topics. In terms of the requirement for, to be a HCA, you don't necessarily need a degree to become a HCA. You do need to have, I think, your English GCSE and your Maths GCSE. So sometimes they do expect you to have a healthcare related certificate or qualification for this role, or some kind of experience in the healthcare setting. In terms of interview, the interview question is pretty much questions about why exactly you want the role. And I feel like it does vary from hospital to hospital, so it's quite hard to say what exactly you'd be asked in the interview. Generally, it's mainly talking about working as a HCA, why you want to become a HCA, and just trying to see what kind of previous experience you have. They do tend to ask you a lot of questions about scenarios and finding out what exactly you do in certain situations. So it will be very handy, obviously, to practice and learn from previous interviews if you do have multiple interviews. But before you actually go for an interview, one tip I would definitely give is read the job descriptions. I feel like some people don't read the job description. It literally tells you exactly what the role entails. It will help you with your interview. It's very important that you do your own kind of research so you actually know what you're likely to expect and know exactly what your role entails. It would only make sense, to read the job description. But you find that a lot of people actually don't. So that would be one tip that I would give you. Some people might be worried about also how to balance a HCA role as well as uni. But in terms of HCA roles, usually they're like about 37 hours if you are a full-time worker. However, you have the option as well to become a bank HCA, and that allows you to have more flexibility. So you can actually pick your shifts online and you can work according to what's suitable for you. So they do have different shifts where you can do morning shifts. So where I work, the morning shifts can start from 7:30 and you finish about 3. Or you can work from like 12 to 8, which is like the afternoon late shift, or you can do a night shift, which can start from 8 p.m. So this is generally for people who wants maybe more flexibility in terms of their work role and have the choice to pick exactly what is suitable for them and can work around it. Or even during your holidays where you have more free time, especially during the summer. So this is very, useful to maybe, apply for a bank HCA if you feel like you're balancing education as well as, working too. So I feel like there's a lot of positive with this role. So obviously you get paid. Also, you're able to get clinical exposure. And I feel like it's very important to see another side of the healthcare field. And you get to work alongside nurses and you get to learn more about the patient care. You get hands-on in terms of direct patient care, which I actually love. And just, getting that clinical exposure and getting used to it. And a large part of this role is communication. So you do learn a lot about how to communicate with patients and provide assistance towards them. This is very nice because it builds that skills up, like how to talk to patient and get used to talking to patients. It's rewarding knowing how you can meet patients' needs and be part of a team where you can actually put your input too. And a good part of this role is you spend pretty much your whole shift with patients. Sometimes as a doctor, you don't get this side where you can actually spend a lot more time with patients. And for example, if I'm doing like an 8-hour shift, I'm with like a group of patients for a long period of time where I can provide, effective care towards them. Personally for me, I feel like this experience will be very useful in terms of OSCEs because you do have a lot of observations that you're required to do in this role. You're allowed to do blood pressure, checking oxygen saturation, pulse rate, heart rate, and so on and so on. So I feel like this is very good for OSCEs as you do have a real life situation where you can actually deal with patients and help with patient care. Personally, this is a positive aspect of this role. I wish I knew about HCA like ages ago. I feel like this role will be very good for even students who want to get into like the clinical field or some kind of healthcare field. It would be good for like a personal statement, or if you're looking for work experience. I feel like this would be a perfect experience to get, where you can get clinical exposure and learn about different things regarding the healthcare field. And working as a bank staff, you do get to try different wards. So you can be on a ward with geriatric patients, you can be on a ward with pediatric patients, so you get, you know, a huge spectrum of different types of patients. And I feel like this is very useful if you're someone that might not be sure about what speciality you want to go into. You have this chance of actually trying different things out, which can be very useful, and you can get more exposure and open yourself to more experience. I feel like sometimes, especially when you're in year 1 and year 2, there's a lot of conditions you learn about and you've actually not seen it in real life. So this is like an opportunity to be, you know, more open to see different conditions, learn different conditions, and even the ones you've learned, you actually get to see it in real life and learn more about, you know, signs and symptoms, how they're diagnosed, the type of treatment they're given. So it actually kind of helps put what you learn in like your lectures and put them into practice. I feel like it's a good preparation for clinical years too. The thing to bear in mind with this role is obviously you'll be seeing a lot of patient feces and different, you know, fluids. So if you're a bit squeamish, or if you don't like this kind of things, you might have to consider whether you do want the role. Obviously, maybe not everyone, you know, enjoys seeing feces and stuff like that, but a large part of the role you tend to see this because a lot of patients needs assistance with those kind of things. So yeah, in terms of like uniform, I can show you what you wear. So I chose the option of wearing trousers and the top, but there's another option for females to wear a dress, but I just wanted to wear trousers and the top. I felt more comfortable with that. But I'll show you guys, I'll show you guys what you have to wear. The uniform varies from hospital to hospital, or what clinic you're working, or if you're working in the community. But just give an example of the uniform. So I've not opened this one yet, but we've been given this lilac, purple and white top to wear. And here is trousers, so they've given me a navy blue trousers to wear. I've actually insert like an image here, like the type of outfits people wear as a HCA. So you're provided a uniform. You don't have to wear, you know, clothes from home. You're actually given a uniform that you have to wear. Well, where I work, this is the type of uniform you're given. And also during your induction, you'll be given the ID badge, and this will give you access to the different wards that you need to go to. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this video was helpful. If you do have more questions regarding how to become a HCA or anything related to it, you can put in the comment section below, or message me through Instagram or email. I'll put everything in the description box below. I'm on Instagram here. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.